I have read literally thousands of Reddit posts on Age of Empires. Many of these posts were nonsensical, others strange, and many very confusing. Gradually, I began to realize that the game was far too complex for my tiny human brain. I believed that the game was made for otherworldly beasts such as Herbo and Vamper. I parted ways with Age of Empires and slipped into a great depression, economically and mentally. On one of the lonely nights in the months that followed, I happened out to the kitchen and ate a pot of green hummus from the fridge. When the healthy snack was devoured, I realized that I had in fact eaten a small pot of mould. Struck down with a great sickness, I lay in bed, tossing and turning myself off and praying for the storm to pass. Dreams of Age of Empires flooded my mind for nights on end. Great winds, massive losses, thousands of elephants, and even a new siege unit called the Funk Mallet. Gradually, as my bed pooled with sweat, I began to see Age of Empires not as a game, but as a great machine. A great and wonderful machine with moving parts and buttons and whistles and side carriages. And then the gods of Age of Empires themselves laid it on my lap one very lucky night. The Den system. A system which few have ever discovered before. A system which I will now give to you. Before we begin, you must accept the Den system wholly and completely. Only those who submit themselves to the great tenets of the system will see true and phenomenal success. If you are prone to doubt, then the Den system will not reward you. If you have the courage to believe, and believe wholeheartedly, then the rewards shall be great. The Den system is broken down into three main parts or cycles: production, expansion, and scouting. It's vital that you use hotkeys to fully unlock the potential of the Den system. Feel free to pause the tape now and come back when you have set up your hotkeys. Oh good, you're back. The main idea of the Den system is that you repeat a number of steps that cover the most important aspects of the game. It may seem difficult at first to wrap your noobish brain around these concepts, but once you train and train some more, after a day or two of practice, you will begin to see a huge difference in your gameplay. The first and most important cycle of the Den system is production. Production covers the most important aspects of the game, such as villager and military production. Your aim is to repeat this production cycle over and over throughout a game. You will need to practice cycling through each step using your hotkeys. The first step in the production cycle is the minimap. This is a mental check to look at your minimap and check for things like unit movement, your resources such as boars and gold, or maybe a simple check to take note of where the edges of the map are in relation to your base. You'll be surprised how often you forget this step and others will bully you on stream. The second step is villager production. Click your town center hotkey and the villager hotkey to make a villager. Always try to have 2 villagers in a queue per town center. The third step is military production. Cycle through each military building quickly and see what unit you need to be producing. Next up is military upgrades, which can be cycled by clicking your hotkey for blacksmith, university, and then castle. One of the biggest things people forget is covered by the next step: eco upgrades. Starting with your mill, cycle through your resource gatherers like your mine and your lumber camp and pick up whatever upgrade you need at that time in the game. Next up is idle villagers, which can be quickly checked by clicking your idle villager hotkey. Identify the slackers and put them back to work. The cycle ends with 2 mental checks: houses and walls. Check your pop number and see if you need to drop a house. Once the houses are covered, check to see if your base is walled or if you need to make a gate to let your troops or villagers out. Or it could be as simple as planning where you're going to make your next wall or gate. Now go back to step 1 and check the minimap and keep repeating each step over and over again. As you get more comfortable with cycling through the steps, you will be able to use certain steps more efficiently. For example, when you're doing your eco upgrade checks and cycling through the eco buildings, you will also be able to fix bunched up villagers or protect yourselves from cut-throughs happening in the woodlines. And when you have the production cycle down, you can add in the second cycle. Expansion focuses on, just check here. Yep, it focuses on, yes, expansion. This cycle is made up of 5 steps. The first step is a mental check to see where you can expand now or later in the game. Are there goals or stone outside your base that you need to control? Or are there wood lines where you need to drop town centers? When you make decisions on the next steps in this cycle, keep in mind where you need to expand to. The second step is buildings. Check to see if you need any buildings. What building do you need now? What building will you need soon? Do you need a monastery to collect that relic that's been sitting outside your base for the whole entire game that you keep ignoring? Why don't you ever get relics? Do you need to drop your second TC now that you have enough wood? Maybe if you drop that TC and that wood line to the right, you might expand your base. Ask yourself those questions. Next step is aging up. Hit your town center hotkey and now hit your button to age up. Did anything happen? Did you age up? No. Why not? Because you're missing everything. Are you missing the buildings? Yes. Do you need more gold? Yes. Well, maybe it's time to switch around your resources and get after that gold. The fourth step is to organize your resources for your production. Ask yourself what units you're producing, or maybe what units you want to produce in the future. If you're getting attacked, let's say, by some nasty, troublesome skirms outside your woodlines that won't stop throwing huge sticks at your villagers, maybe you can start producing some knights. Before you do, look at your resources and see if your eco is focused on food and gold, because that's what knights love. Swap villagers from wood and put them on gold if you need to. Whatever you need to do basically to balance your eco to the production that's happening now. The next step will make sure your eco is booming along efficiently. Check your mills, mines and lumber camps and see if they need to be replenished. See if the villagers are carrying stuff long distances to drop them off. If they are, for instance, carrying wood long distance, build a lumber camp closer to the wood line. But hold on a minute, the wood line is nearly gone. Why don't you put a new fancy lumber camp on that juicy wood line outside your walls and expand your base? Or better yet, build a town centre. All the way through the game, keep looking for places you'll be able to expand to and keep working to expand to those areas. Identify good places for town centres and ways in which you can control more gold, stone and wood lines. Now you're ready for the final cycle of the den system. Now, you've probably heard that word scouting and immediately turned off your computer because you're so bored from the thought of scouting. Well, let me tell you right now, you have to scout. It's essential. Because you know when you ask people things like, how do I counter a tower rush? The real answer is, you scout it and you see it coming so you don't have to counter it. You basically stop it before it happens. Now that's really rich coming from me because I've never managed to do it and I always get killed by tower rushes. The first step in the scouting cycle is to scout. Simple enough. Use your scout to move around the map and find the enemy and see what he's up to. Keep your scout active and moving all the time. Look for relics, look for resources, look for where the enemy is, look for his units, look for everything. Spot the danger before it lands on your doorstep. The next step is remembering what civ you're playing against. Who are they? What do those civs have that can hurt you? What are they good at? What are they bad at? Keep it in mind when you're making your decisions. Next up is scouting their eco. What are their resources? Where is their main gold? Where is their stone? Is there a wood line I can attack? What are they investing into? Are they food heavy? Maybe they're going scouts. Do they have a lot on gold? Do they have a lot on wood? Maybe they're going archers. Maybe they have some stone and are about to castle drop you. Remember, scout is not just for Dark Age, it's forever. Now, while you're at it, why not take a look at their buildings? This will tell you a lot about their plans. 2 archery ranges? I guess they're going they're going archers. Now you can react before they get to your base. Beware though, they might be devious people who put 2 archery ranges at the start when in fact they actually have 2 stables at the back with 20 knights and they're going to kill you in about 10 minutes. I believe you should probably not play with those people because they're not actually your friends if they do that. Shane, now that you've scouted their base, where are their weak points? Are there any holes? Any wood lines vulnerable to archers? Any hills where you could slap down a big old castle when the time comes? Now, after this, send your scout around again. What units are they building? Can you spot any of them? Which will lead us on to the final step. What units are you going to make to counter their units? But better yet, what units are you going to make their life even worse? You need to cycle through both the production and expansion stages in 17 seconds total. 17 seconds is the time it would take to make a villager in-game. I think I did some rough maths on a piece of paper and I'm fairly sure it worked out. If it didn't, 17 seconds seems to be a really good time to do these cycles in. The time left over after completing the production expansion stages should be spent following the scout cycle steps. But every time that 17 seconds is up, you must restart the production cycle and back to the expansion cycle before returning and completing the next step in the scout stage. It will feel like your brain is breaking apart, but your aim is to make this such a natural movement to cycle through all of these steps that you don't have to think about it. Once you get to the point where you don't have to actively remember any of the steps in the cycles and muscle memory kicks in, your mind will be free to make decisions and crush your enemies. And as you improve and get better, you will find ways to adapt and evolve the system to suit your playing style. Now, I'm going to be real with you guys. I haven't fully put this system to the test, but I couldn't wait any longer to share it with the world. So I need you to go out there and test this. Report your findings to me here or in Discord and let me know if you have any suggestions or improvements for the Den system. I've put links to some beautiful PDFs in the description that outline all the stages and the cycles and are an easy way for you to follow along. I've also included the coveted Den Bible, which is a really useful reference for build orders when you're in a pinch. Now go, lads, and use the Den system to fulfill your destiny.
We're two ram boys and we're going through the forest. Two ram boys, we don't need no infantry.